come in here with a full stomach.
And all of you should pick up a pen someday and write a Crackfics.
Make the world a better place.
Is there going to be illustrations of the whole past?
Thank God, no.
No.
Well, maybe.
I mean, do you want to see? Never mind. You'll see. You'll find it.
Priest.
What?
We do have one image.
Oh.
When you're done with.
Oh, that's right. We have a special.
I'm pretty sure I have it downloaded already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, if
Well, it was on my phone, but I put it up the Dropbox.
also, there'll also be a chance for you guys to ask a bunch of questions about Crackfics in general.
Writing process.
Yeah, etc. Whatever you'd like to ask.
That's not what's on the table here.
So, sorry you don't have a good mic. It's like it just doesn't come any further. Really? Yeah.
No, I tried it.
Start with the
As
fact.
far as it goes.
You got length problems, Priest.
That's something you know.
Not even a little bit.
Priest,
It's big enough.
No.
That's what she said.
We should not do a long. No.
We should not go long.
We're gonna ruin this if we do that.
Are we able to?
As far as it goes, please stop hugging. I'm holding from not being able to do that.
I mean, you guys, just sit next to each other, cheek to cheek.
I mean, I could just, yeah.
If you guys want to buddy up, you just got
Share it like a whore. That's fine. You can leave it.
welcome.
Hello.
Guten Abend.
I love it.
Yeah.
Reese, talk to me.
Hello.
We have golden gates.
We have golden gates. Oh my goodness.
Do you know what this is?
Funny fanfic?
No. We're reading a story called Valuable Mustard.
Yes!
Okay.
Who was originally doing Applejack?
I don't want to force dry reading.
I used to read Naughty. Oh no, we said 50 Shades of Grey. They would
50 Shades of Grey?
They would just generate random 50 Shades of Grey.
Okay.
It's glorious. Or sex teachers.
In that case, are you lunch with Applejack? In a sex scene? In a really not okay sex scene? Would you rather not do that?
Where's an example?
You know, there.
It's a long version of the
Is that Tapatio in there?
Okay.
Man in the bowler hat.
So, Flam.
Applejack, just cheese and southern accent.
Oh, this is going to be so
And
weird.
what's
Flam?
Oh,
Flam will be part of the narration. Narration will explain the first part.
You need another chair down somewhere?
then
Another term.
You're representing good princess, sir.
until the
Didn't know. Hi, Ashley. Hi.
Do you like that?
I do.
So you know for a fact.
Yeah, I do. You can handle your shit. We should.
just move your chair over.
Okay, which means you'll have to.
Are we recording this?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're recording.
Is that how it's Great. They're gonna slide right in.
That's what
You got a pretty good house. I'm excited for you guys. You guys should all regret your life decisions. You came here tonight.
I regret that.
And
All right.
And I can yell, so I'm happy to yell. So we're gonna talk to us about Crackfics first.
It is 8:01. So hello, Babscon, and welcome to Cracking Up on Crackfics. Who here has never been to a Barcast panel before?
You are in full of bad things.
This is your first and only warning. This is going to contain graphic material.
Including sexual imagery and fetish material that is generally perceived of as gross.
There's going to be a lot of poop.
There's going to be a lot of it's going to get really bad. And if that is not something you can handle, I suggest you depart and we will not blame you. We will not feel bad about it, I promise.
This panel is going to be broken up into 3, maybe 4 parts.
Can y'all try to use the mics when you're speaking?
No.
We only have 3 mics. We can only do so
And
much.
this doesn't go any farther.
Oh.
So I'm just screaming.
All right, be loud.
I can scream louder if it helps!
Oh, yes, louder.
So, first thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about what bad fan fiction, crack fan fiction, troll fan fiction does in the fandom and why it's good, as well as give you guys a chance to ask questions on why you should be doing these things and what you can do to write it good. I mean, bad.
So, let's start easy. How many of you have never read a crackfic?
Oh.
What are you doing? So, for those who don't know, crackfics tend to be fiction, usually short fiction, sometimes longer, in some cases of people who don't quit writing when they should. Hi. It's fiction which takes an idea or parts of a plot that shouldn't go together, and it puts them together. So, in a crackfic that isn't necessarily gross or lewd, yeah, shitfix is the show I do, sorry. Oh, yeah, I should do that. Fuck. I'm sorry, I'm rude. Let's introduce ourselves to know who the fuck we are. And why we know anything about crackfics in general. Mel!
No.
Yes!
Start with you.
Fuck!
Are we still going in alphabetical order?
So, hi, my name is Flutter Priest. I'm a writer on film fiction as well as podcaster and general memer. You can find me there, and I'm one of the main hosts of the podcast.
I'm an on-pencil. I'm specifically known for writing crackfics on fanfiction, and I'm the host of Shitfix, where we get drunk and try to read fanfiction.
Woo! Sounds like a good time.
It's a bad time.
In all the right ways.
Our wonderful guest.
I'm Azzy. I'm playing Golden Gates this year, and these people reeled me in. I don't know what crackfics are. I guess I'm gonna find out.
Sweet summer.
You poor soul.
If it involves the corn oil, I'm not sure.
What?
It might
Oh,
fall- it
no.
might
Goldies, what are you doing in here?
Don't you worry about it, honey. You have to go that way. You're too young.
Well, I want to hang out with my bestest
No,
sister.
sweetheart.
It's not my bedtime, it's Copper's.
I know, but you can't be in here, honey.
I just gotta tell you, don't drink the water if you think it's like got something in it. I keep teaching 2 Golden Gates.
Is
I
it
keep
really
teaching
the
2
frogs
of
game?
It's, yeah.
I think it's the water, I'm not sure.
Don't drink bar cats water.
Never.
It's super tasty water.
Give me
Yeah,
that. Give me
forecast, okay.
Slide
not
up,
for you.
brother.
Super
Yeah,
tasty water.
don't drink the barcast water. Stop, motherfucker. Anyway,
Oh, God. Now I'm seeing double. I see 2 thoraxes.
Flam.
Indeed. Evening, y'all. I'm Jesus Christ. Evening, y'all.
Not.
Thorax, good stuff dealing with the good stuff.
I'm Flammenwerfer. I am also a writer on film fiction, and I'm along for this ride, guys. So let's get to it.
I'm Inumena Kotaku, podcaster, and I wrote and fan fiction writer as well for the fandom. I've written that One Ember Store. A lot of you probably
Oh
know.
my god, shut up, I fucking
I am Ravage. I am the resident artist of a lot of these, and I taught myself to write fan fiction, and I stick my foot in my mouth, so be prepared for that.
I'm Milk. I'm here for the ride as well, like with Flamin. I just kind of shitpost as well, so yes.
Woo! Alright, I can go back to yelling now. Can anyone hear me back there? Can you hear me at all?
Yes.
Good, I learned how to project a long time ago. Only child, when you cry you get what you want. So the concept is to take 2 things that don't go together and make them go together. So for example, there's a crackfic that involves Land Before Time and ponies and cannibalism. That sounds like a bad idea, and it is.
No, that's a great idea. What are you talking about?
So let's do it.
Yeah, let's write it. So when you write these things, it's usually for the sake of humor, I hope. Sometimes it's for the sake of sex or fetish. I'm gonna fight some people. That too. And when you write this, it's usually to elicit a reaction of shock, and the humor comes with that shock. And for a lot of people when they read it, it's not their cup of tea. They can't do it. They read it and go, what the crap is this bullshit? I'm out, down vote. And that's fine, because honestly, that's a little bit of the intended reaction too. You want people to react negatively, because when they react negatively in the comments, it feeds even more of what other people are like, wow, someone said this fic made them want to kill themselves. I better read this. And it works out great. But there's another factor to this. The dirty little secret is, writing Crackfics is going to make you a better writer.
That's why I'm such a great writer.
No. Writing Crackfics enables you to try to flex the most important muscle it comes to in writing, and that's your brain. You're trying to force yourself to do something, make it cohesive. It doesn't have to be spelled right, it just has to elicit a reaction. And in writing that is not Crackfics, you're still trying to do that. You're always trying to elicit some sort of reaction. You're trying to make somebody sad, happy, think, angry. And with Crackfics, you're doing that too, except the usual reaction you get with those is, and that's fine. And people think, oh, I could write something worse than that, I could write something better than that. Try. It's really difficult to get that perfect little niche of, this is distressing, but I can't stop reading. And we are going to later on show you a fic that does that, because it is like a train wreck. You cannot look away. But we've all written Crackfics on here before. How many of you have actually written Crackfics? Wow. How many of you are thinking about writing a Crackfic? All right, good. This is what I like to see. Or just trying to write in general. Anyone thinking about writing something in the first place? Hey, good.
There will be some hands going up right now.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to pass it off to you, Flam. Because you have a lot of experience with writing Crackfics that are very well written. Just because something is weird doesn't mean it has to be written like crap. And he writes them well.
She gives me a little too much credit.
You can actually use the mic, I can't.
Yes.
So.
She gives me a little too much credit for the well-written portions, and she's read them herself as well.
And I've yelled at you and told you to die in a fire because you spelled things wrong.
And that's how I knew I did them right.
Yeah.
In essence, when you write something seriously for yourself, for whomever, to see what you want to see, you try to inject a certain sense of relatability to the reader, to keep the reader engaged, to keep them coming back for more, keep them on their toes. What happens next? I need to keep reading. That was an amazing thing. I'm going to come back to it later. I want other people to see this. That's awesome.
Mutual suffering.
Yes. There's a little bit of that as well. However, with a Crackfic, there is absolutely none of that. If someone can relate to what you're writing, it's not deep enough. Or if someone does, it's amazing, and you hope to hear from that person.
No, I definitely have received a comment on one fic going, wow, I love this. I've always felt like I wanted to do this to my friends when they're mean to me. And I'm like, this is a story about like beating somebody's face in and skull fucking them. What the fuck are you doing? Oh God! Oh God!
In my personal experience, though, Crackfics for me is just pure shit posting. I just want to see something. I think this is goddamn hilarious, and I want to see it happen, and I want to share this with the world. My prime example is of a nice little gem that I love to this day called The Flower of the Dark Side.
Oh, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
And this one is a little gem where Emperor Palpatine decides to have a lovely time with our Cinnamon Roll Fluttershy. In a wonderful detail, memes abound. Hey, and there is actually a reading that Anon Pencil was who graciously lent her voice to for Fluttershy, and I did the voice of Palpatine.
Oh, Palpatine, make me feel the Force.
Good. Let the Force flow through you, Fluttershy. Yes.
So, yeah. And it doesn't always have to be about sex.
No.
Sometimes a crackfic is the concept that Pinkie Pie's actually been a balloon this whole time. And no one's noticed. Or that Twilight Sparkle, or that Celestia actually has been getting Twilight to write friendship reports because she doesn't know how to make friends and she's horribly inept. I know, you see, you can put different spins on it.
Or maybe a story where
now that Luna's back, that actually seems believable.
See,
Or-
you can really twist it. You have to get your brain going.
maybe a story where this entire time Twilight cannot actually read.
Oh yeah, she can't read, she's faking it. Or where, Rainbow Dash, now we're gonna get Luke. Rainbow Dash found out she can't float on clouds, so she has to inject helium up her asshole every morning in order to float. You can do things like that.
The central theme to it, though, is who cares? Like, if Rainbow Dash needs helium up her bunghole to lift above the clouds, okay, cool.
Write it.
Yeah.
Write it. Sit down and try it.
Write it. That's the thing. Write it.
Well, and I think one of the best things you can do with a crackfic is, and I'm going to quote Mick Gordon, the lead sound designer to Doom. He said that when he went to work on the Doom project, he was introduced to an environment where he felt comfortable in failure by working with some of the other people on the project. And that's one of the wonderful things about a crackfic. You don't care if you fail because you have nothing invested in this story. You are comfortable in failure and you don't care.
It is not your child. And the devil's in the details. When you are writing a crackfic, sometimes the best thing is throwing a curveball. Give him a weird comparison, like she was as tight as a jar of pickles. Like, throw it in there, man. Because when I said that to you guys, you all laughed, right? Well, some of you did, some of you have no sense of humor, it's fine. But you laughed, and also you had a moment where you went, what? And then you tried to visualize it.
Oh, I'm visualizing it, all right.
Yeah, you get that cucumber pickling pretty quick, huh? Oh, no. What you said was, maybe you need Dad to come loosen it for you. That is a big comment, okay? I'm so glad you're here.
Speaking of Dad loosening it for you,
Oh, God.
we actually have an example to show you guys, but we'd be amiss if there's anyone here that wants to know something more before we go to showing you guys an example.
We'd really like to do questions with you guys. If you have questions about crackfics, what's okay, what's not okay, how to make a better crackfic. What if people who write crackfics are terminally fucked up? Like, we'd love to hear questions. We really would. Yes.
When do I get my free crack rock?
Your free crack rock? Okay, tell you what. You write me a fanfic about Spike losing his scales and trying to regrow them with Rogaine and instead just growing hair. Okay?
Anyone else before we jump into this?
Don't be shy.
You misspelled crackfic.
Crackfic is what we're going to be reading, don't worry.
I know. I just want to make it.
Aw, that was cute. You tried.
Yes! The patronizing is fueling me! What's up?
At what point is there a difference between a crackfic and just someone that's legitimately someone who just cannot write?
Intent. Intent. Because if you sat down and you went, I'm going to write a crossover fic with Rainbow Dash and Sonic in love. It's going to be good. And you put it out there, people are like, wow, this is hot fucking garbage.
I mean-
Then, you know what? Congrats, you wrote a bad story. If you sat down and tried to write a story in which Rainbow Dash and Sonic have sex and Jesus washes with a fidget spinner, and you did that for funsies, he did, then...
Thank you, Thank you, Priest.
Then that's intent.
I mean, one way to tell if someone was actually trying is if you look in the comments, see a comment graveyard.
Somebody deleted all the comments and said, don't be mean, my first fic, guys. Please no bully. It's like...
Please no flaming.
Yeah. And don't do that. Just don't do that. Be ready for the mean comments. Eat them, embrace them, fuel yourself with them.
What is each of yours favorite crackfic on fanfiction?
Oh shit, Nuggets, let's do this. Yeah.
All right, here we go. My personal favorite that encompasses the whole encyclopedia of bad is The Tale of Shadowblade, which I may recognize you guys last year. if we have extra time, we'll dip into a chapter, but we got a whole story for you guys today.
My favorite crackfic of all time is I'm gonna be a circle jerky whore. J. Edgar Hoover in Equestria.
Oh my God.
I'm still upset. Do you have a favorite crackfic?
Crackfic virgin.
Oh.
We won.
Oh, no.
Yes.
As for me, Shadowblade also holds a very special place in my heart, but one that really got me rolling the first time was Cold Steel the Hedgehog in Equestria. And that was some top quality, like, meta humor in there.
Oh, fuck, man.
Rolling around in the speed of sound.
Enigme, pick me Enigme.
Well, I have to go with Shadowblade, of course. It
Yeah.
is-
Go read Shadowblade. That's nothing
Yes.
else you get from this. Go read Shadowblade.
All right, I'm gonna be an absolute terrible person. It's the one we did recently. It's, where'd it go? Daddy, why do I get boners when I poop? It's worse than you think.
Before you start thinking, oh, he must like do sexual things with poop. No, that is not it. There is.
Is it worse?
There's a fairy in it called excretia.
Does she get off on poop?
Well, she is poop.
You sometimes stumble upon a fic like this that's so brilliantly written that you just can't help but just watch amazed as you're watching the train wreck unfold in front of you.
Some of the comparisons in that, like,
It was a beautiful train wreck.
he slides into her like pudding. I was like, no, I
Thanks, I hate it.
No.
All right, Milk, and then
It's honestly just gonna be Shadowblade and Daddy, why do I get a boner when I poop? Those are really the only two that I can think of.
I just say, why do we get a boner when I
The straw poll of the barcast here.
Straw poll after that.
So is it better to have a crackfic that is like written with full gorgeous, attention to spelling, grammar, etc., or one that is trying to be deliberately bad on that level as well?
I think they serve very different purposes.
I agree, and that wasn't the question. Which one's better?
Oh, okay.
It is better to do detail and do it well, because then people can't help but visualize what you want them to visualize. They're your bitch. They sit down and they're like, and what was the comparison? It was like Granny Smith's vagina smelling like Parmesan cheese. Right? I made y'all my bitch because y'all visualized it.
You can smell it.
He entered her like the lottery.
He entered her like the lottery.
Which is fantastic! That's an amazing simile.
But that being said, if you're gonna misspell the sex words because, like he spread her Virginia open is great. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I agree. Full on detail. Write to your capability, but just write to your capability. The reason I say that, if you write intentionally poorly, people can imbue the wrong intent onto you, and therefore just say, oh, this guy just can't spell, can't do grammar with a goddamn.
Some people are lazy and they'll just drop you like, oh,
He misspelled slut and wrote though instead. What a bitch. And the least
Not your, you are.
Yeah.
Or my favorite, I said fuck in a clockpick and they were like, you should have said buck. I was like, fuck off! And then they walked.
And also, if you do it too much, it actually becomes an eyesore. It's like actually becomes impossible to read.
It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting hard.
Wait, do we have any more questions before we start? Oh, Snitching.
Yeah, so what if you want to write a crackfic but you don't necessarily enjoy reading it? Like, how would you go about getting better at these words?
I hate to tell you, but if you want to get good at writing, you gotta read.
Yeah.
You have to.
I've seen like specifically crackfics. I never really enjoyed them, but it sounds
If you
fun.
really want to take a shortcut, listen to audiobooks. But
those are sometimes worse.
There's something to be said about actually getting in there and reading the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
You gotta see how they do it. You can give it a shot without ever reading a book, but you probably won't get where you want to go unless you just write a bunch.
So, how does it make you a better writer in general?
I mentioned that earlier, but it's about exercising the muscle between your ears to do two things. Let's take two things that don't work together and make them work, or else. And also, you're trying to elicit a reaction from your reader. And that has to do with intent. You want your reader to feel a certain way. You want to produce your desired results. You're trying to do that in Crackfics as well as regular writing too. So if you get good at that and you can calculate, okay, I want this line to make people laugh, I want this line to make people cringe, and people write in the comments, I cringed at this line so hard. It means you're learning your audience, you're learning how to manipulate them, and 90% of writing is manipulating your audience. Without them feeling uncomfortable about it, Crackfics, you actually want to make them feel uncomfortable about it.
Dance, puppets, dance.
And to add a little, add a little bit to that.
You have a mic.
It gives you the extra boost in confidence to write actually seriously because you have no inhibitions with the Crackfic because you are not invested in it. It's like trying to talk to girls. You flirt with a stripper in that case. So you're like, okay, this makes sense, and then go talk to the girl you want. That's a terrible analogy, but it works the same way in some sense. I'm going to make people read about shitty splooge, and then I'm actually going to use the feedback I got from that. How did I write this? How's the imagery I was able to portray, and actually use that post-mortem and apply that to what you actually want to write properly.
I see one more question, but somebody we put. What do you want?
Can I write a collab with one of you?
No. I already have enough bad fanfic. We don't need more.
Yes, we do. That's what's so bad.
I know.
So let's move to the fun.
Okay.
You need to catch up on your fanfics. Look at that fucking library
Now is
tab.
your chance. You guys are welcome to leave. No one will be offended on this panel, I promise you.
We'll love you as much as you walked in as when you walk out.
So,
That's this line ratio. That's exactly what I'm trying.
Yeah, that's what you look for.
a handful of us are going to be interchanging narration, but the voice of Applejack is going to be our wonderful Golden Gates. Everyone give her a round of applause. Big Mac and Tosh is going to be played by the best punching bag we have, Enigmatic Otaku. So,
No applause?
No.
Okay.
Don't clap.
Don't clap him. He doesn't Bill think he's
Glenn, I believe you're going to be narrating first.
I'll be narrating first. Very well.
So please introduce the story and let's do this.
Let's do this horrible thing. Let's do this, kids.
All right. So.
Are you all ready?
No.
If you said no, you're exactly where you need to be.
So ready.
All right. So we will be doing vaginal mustard.
You have a mic. You have a fucking mic.
We will be doing vaginal mustard. Bye. Literally a Grandpa Simpson moment right
Did you lose something?
It's okay.
You lost his innocence.
there. Did you lose some vaginal mustard?
All right. Let's go. Glenn.
So, vaginal mustard by something emo and edgy. And the chapter title, Splooge Gurgle Fecal Feast.
My stage name.
The scene was set. The first annual Apple Family Bar and Grill Festival was ready for action. Big Mac's watchful eye took in the proceedings. Apple Bloom and her little friends had just finished setting up the stage, their crude banner hanging high above it. Rarity and Fluttershy had gotten their flower garden set up in almost no time, while Twilight and Pinkie Pie were just about done setting up the bar. Meanwhile, Applejack was...
One darnation. Where in the heck's Applejack?
Big Mac screamed out. It was loud enough for the just now arriving attendees to hear, but he didn't care. This was urgent. Without another word, he galloped off towards the Apple home, intent on finding out just what his sister thought was more important than the first annual Apple Family Bar and Grill Festival.
They say it like 10 times, Flynn. Get used to it.
I know, I love it. Before long, Big Mac barged into Applejack's room, her door slamming against the wall hard enough to leave a small indentation.
Applejack, what do you think you're...
It all finally became apparent. Applejack was...
Big Mac, don't you know how to knock?
The larger pony blushed heavily, not having expected to see his sister's private parts on display like that.
I'm sorry, Applejack. It's just that you and Rainbow Dash were supposed to be making carrot dogs. You knew that today was the first annual Apple Family Bar and Grill Festival, and you know that carrots go on buns, not inside your private parts.
A look of anger came across Applejack's face.
Oh, heck, the first Apple Family Bar and Grill was today?
Yes, today is the first annual Apple Bar and Grill Festival.
Big Mac replied.
And I would prefer that everything goes well. That way we can have a second annual Apple Family Bar and Grill Festival.
All right, Big Mac.
Applejack agreed.
I've already got Rainbow Dash working on the carrot dogs. What do you need me to do?
All we need is some mustard, Applejack. Everyone knows that we need ketchup, relish, and mustard. And we don't have any mustard. You were supposed to go to the store and pick some up.
Big Mac chastised his sister.
Well, shoot, the store's closed on Sundays. There's no way we'll be able to get any mustard today. Is there anything else we can use?
Big Mac put a hoof to his chin and thought.
Well, I'm not sure, but we have to think of something to save the first annual Apple Bar and Grill Festival. Without mustard, the event just ain't gonna feel right.
All right, let's, Rab, you ready to take over?
Yeah, sure.
Into the mic.
Applejack reflected for a brief moment and then shot her hoof up into the air.
Oh, Big Mac, I just had me an idea.
What's the idea?
I thought of a perfect substitute for mustard.
Carn sarnet, Applejack. Ain't nothing gonna be as good as mustard on a carrot dog.
Applejack grinned, throwing her covers off. Her wet, glistening pussy was exposed to Big Mac. Her older brother blushed heavily, yet found it impossible to look away. Her mare parts were almost as appealing as the idea of hosting the first annual Apple Family Bar and Grill Festival.
You had some mustard yesterday, didn't you?
No,
Oh.
that was her line.
You,
What?
had some mustard yesterday, didn't you?
Yes?
Big Mac raised an eyebrow.
What's that got to do with seeing your, well, you know?
Everything. If you contribute some of your mustard to my marehood, then we can supply every pony with a tasty carrot dog.
Finally, it hit Big Mac and he grinned.
You know what? You're right.
Before Applejack could reply, Big Mac was standing over her, his crusty anus planted right on top of her wet pussy. Just seeing his... I'm trying, I swear. Just seeing his hairy ass covered in the unkempt fecal matter that meant he hadn't bathed in weeks turned his sister on beyond belief.
Oh, gosh, Big Mac, fill me up with your manhood.
I'm trying.
He screamed, the vein on his forehead growing in size as he tried his hardest to push the colossal turd through his small intestine. As it finally began to peek out through his rectum, he shouted,
This is for the first annual Apple Family Bar and Grill Festival.
Within seconds, his splooge gurgle. I'm trying, I swear.
Will you just gurgle fecal feces?
Say that by
I can't. Within seconds, his splooge gurgle fecal feast sprayed down onto his sister's exposed marehood, making her gurgle. What the fuck? Making her Google plurred urine splorgasm.
Oh, yes! Fill me up with your shit, Big Mac. See, she has rainbow dash spews when she brags.
Fuck, I love it when you talk dirty.
Big Mac cried out, more shit coming out by the second.
I hope the first annual Family Bar and Grill Festival goes terribly, and everyone hates it.
Applejack cried out, coming from the sheer force of his shit slamming against her clitoral region.
That's you. That's you.
Is that dirty enough for you?
That's too dirty!
Big Ma yelled back, finishing up his shit. As he did, he repositioned himself to smack Applejack on the ass.
Never talk bad about the first annual Apple Family Bar and Grill Festival.
Without warning, the eldest Apple sibling shoved his cock into Applejack's feces-filled fuckhole. It was just disgusting enough to turn on Big Mac, even enough to make him fill up his sister's pussy with his cum. At the same time, the embarrassment caused Applejack to piss herself. It was the perfect mix of liquids, and Big Mac knew everyone would simply adore it.
All right, please.
I've heard fucking the shit out of somebody, but not fucking the shit into somebody.
All right, cool. Go ahead.
No, please.
No, he's gonna finish up.
The many ponies in line were growing impatient, but judging from the reactions of everyone that had already gotten their carrot dog, it was all going to be worth it. The many came from the ponies around. Big Mac held his sister above the newest carrot dog, and with a slight squeeze, his sister's mix of warm cum, thick, crusty Big Mac feces, and slick urine fell onto Photo Finish's carrot dog. The pony took a bite and grinned happily. Pencil?
That's.
Oh.
That's milk.
No, that's not.
That's Photo Finish.
Oh, it is? Oh,
No, just do it.
Which one? I don't even know.
Fine. Tasty! I consider the first annual Apple Family Bar and Grill Festival a success.
Everyone cheered from the worst pony to ever exist's approval. There would definitely be a second annual Apple Family and Bar and Grill Festival next year.
I scrolled down so they could see it. So, how are you all feeling?
Enlightened.
I want to
I'll call it in a
mustard.
second.
I flew 2,000 miles here for this.
Yes.
Worth every second.
So to not make it any better, you've now reached the test portion of the panel. We have some prizes if you can answer questions about what we just read.
First of all, what event took place? Yes.
Apple Family Bar and Grill Festival, the first annual.
Yes.
This is the hard one. Does anyone know the technical name for the sex act performed in this story? Yes.
Alabama hot.
Yes. What are the ingredients to vaginal mustard? Yes.
Crusty Big Mac shit. Yes.
Yes.
Close enough.
What's the author
favorite author.
What was Applejack using to pleasure herself?
A character.
Fine.
And now for the hardest question. We had it up on screen. How many upvotes did this have?
Well, maybe 16.
Survey says 16!
There's 2 more questions. Who is the worst pony in the history of existence? I see right there. Hey! And last but not least, we're gonna toss it in there real easy for you. What kind of fit is this?
You should all be raising your hands.
Shit lord.
A shit thing!
Yeah!
So that was the first story that we prepared for you guys. Who wants another one? Yeah! We had it.
Oh!
Yes!
You guys, it's time! We're going to read for you our collective favorites. And I think, guys, that we need to give our lovely guest another reading partner who's up for it. Would you like to be Shadowblade?
Sure.
You're going to have sex.
Vulnerable right now.
You're going to have sex with a lot of mares.
No. Just like real life.
Reese, we're up.
Huh?
We're up.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I thought it was a short chapter.
Now,
Well, it's still a short chapter.
we mentioned before that some Crackfics are really well written and really bad. This is both poorly written and really bad. And it's the funniest shit I have ever read in my life. Yeah!
So it's the NLP equivalent of My Immortal?
It's that.
Oh, exactly that. So, this is the tale of Shadowblade. You get to look this up. Oh.
Any way you want.
Any way you want.
You could be sexy woman, you could try to be a shadow.
It's Shadowblade. Trust me. Go for it.
Black and red wings.
Alcorn. Well, actually, it changes.
Oh, yeah.
I can't take this anymore.
Shadow Bolt says, and he jumped off his mountain perch.
I need interaction with other ponies, and I don't care if Celeste isn't going to let me off this mountain. Because I would kill here in... Hurry over here. This blast if I could. I need to leave.
As he fell, the wind swept across Feces and swept through his black and red mane. His horn and wings glistened in the evening moon as he fell from his high vantage point. Once he reached the ground, he slow stood up and began to trot to Ponyville. In the morning, Twilight awoke to a knocking at her door. Curious, she opened the door to find a very handsome black and red Alicorn standing there.
Hi, I'm Shadowblade. I was hoping I could see sanctuary in this library of yours.
Come on in, Twilight said.
As he walked in, she caught a glimpse of his impressive penis. She also saw that he was fucking ripped to boot.
I'm Twilight Sparkle. I'm the librarian here. Is there anything I can do for you?
Yes, you can.
I just need a place to stay.
Shadowblade said,
I've got a bottle of wine we can share.
Oh, that's fine.
That's fine.
You can share wine with me anytime.
Twilight said, removing a bottle from a nearby shelf. Seeing that he didn't have anything else to do, Shadow sat in a chair and sipped wine with Twilight for an hour.
Hey, you're pretty sexy.
Twilight said, sliding closer to Shadow. Before Shadow could say anything, Twilight rubbed his stallion hood with a hoof and put it in her mouth. She bobbed her head up and down, causing the alicorn to moan with pleasure. After 5 minutes,
Serious guys, 5 minutes.
Are you sure about that?
How is
Shadow knew he was close to coming.
Oh, God.
He pulled Twilight off his cock and shot a huge load of his seed into her face, staining her fur with his cream. That was nice, Twilight said, as Shadow left to set off for some food. That's chapter 1. Chapter 2.
Somebody watched too many porno.
As Shadow walked by, mares stared at him lustfully. Their vaginas quickly moistening. Shadow didn't care, however, because he had some food to get. Power move. He walked into Sugar Cube Corner and was greeted by a pink blur.
Hi, I'm Pinkie Pie, and I've never seen you around here before, so I need to throw you a party.
She exclaimed in one rapid succession.
Is that really necessary?
Shadow asked, playing the new pony role.
You bet.
Pinkie yelled.
Parties are what I do best. That's
That's exactly it.
Say, you seem like an energetic pony. Want to have some fun?
Shadow asked Green.
What do you mean?
Asked Pinkie.
I'll show you.
With that, he lowered his hoof and began to massage Pinkie's pussy cheek, causing the party pony to moan with pleasure. Instinctively, Pinkie lowered her head to gingerly suckle on the alicorn's cock, swirling her tongue in circular motions, humming so that vibrating sensation shot through the stallion's penis.
This is the best ending.
Shadow knew he was getting close. He swung the pink pony around and deeply penetrated her flower before ejaculating forcefully.
Oh, it was that quick, man.
A tip of his horn. Get it? He left the pony laying in a puddle of mare and stallion juices.
Let's give a hand for our guest.
Question. Were they doing that in front of Sugar Cube Corner?
Huh?
Were they doing that in front of Sugar Cube Corner? Didn't
All the guests there.
No, it's really just started doing that.
So in front of everyone.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
wait, so that means some of the chocolate had a special creamy feeling?
At the end of it, you guys
They make
missed
the
all the
eclairs.
chocolate the previous story. I'm proud of you.
Their specialty is vaginal mustard.
All right. So, are you ready to do more?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Chapter 3. Again, Shadow received lustful stares from the mares as he walked by.
Sorry, ladies, I'm single.
He said, causing the mares to give a small of disapproval. He knew that he was single, but he didn't have time to please every mare in town. He had a list. He trotted over to Fluttershy's cottage and knocked on the door, which was answered by a yellow Pegasus who nervously looked at the totally sexy alicorn standing before her.
I'm Shadowblade. I'm an alicorn. I'm a alicorn. Seeking a place to spend the night. Can I stay here?
Fluttershy felt her pussy gush as she stared at him, causing her to let out an audible squeak.
Wow, looks like you're already prepared.
Blade said as he shoved his dick into the Pegasus's mouth. She resisted at first, but slowly realized that his magnificent cock tastes like a delicious salty treat. So she began to suck gently, much to the pleasure of the alicorn. After about 10 minutes, Shadow pulled out of the Pegasus's mouth and shot his load all over her face. Fluttershy began to eagerly lick the cum from her face, because that's how tongues work.
Look at the little slut devouring her king's cum like a pro.
He scoffed. Fluttershy chuckled and led the alicorn into her cottage for what was sure to be even more naughty fun. When he entered, he saw a bunny who didn't look too happy about the black and red pony's presence. Shadow kicked the bunny away. Fluttershy didn't see, of course, and went upstairs to her room. In there was a wide array of ropes, chains, and bondage devices.
It's always the quiet ones, like you said.
That Fluttershy then told Shadow to bind her with. After tying the beauty of bondage up, he gazed at her sopping marehood. With a tentative lick, Shadow quickly found the Pegasus's juices tasted similar to a ripe peach.
That's diabetes.
Liking this taste, the alicorn began to enthusiastically eat out the Pegasus, causing her to whinny with pleasure. Daddy, harder. That's so good. No, I lost my spot. Okay, winning with pleasure. Every stroke of the black and red stallion's tongue sent a wave of pleasure through Fluttershy's body. Soon, Fluttershy felt a tingly feeling in her pussy, and she knew she was getting close to coming. I'm gonna come! She screamed. With this, Shadow thrust his massive cock into the Pegasus tight beating pussy. Shattering her hip and driving her over the edge to a powerful orgasm that shot her love juices all of the black and red's alicorn's coat. The two of them snoogled on the couch and whispered sweet nothing in each other's ears as the fell asleep.
I love you, Shadow.
Fluttershy said.
I love you too, Fluttershy.
So I. Shadow said as they both drifted into sleep. Little did they know, Princess Celestia saw the entire sexy scene. Since she knows that she is powerless to stop Shadow, since he is stronger than her mind, she simply shook her head and returned to Canterlot's.
Is Fluttershy still have a time to the bondage queen?
Do you want to narrate Enigma?
No, I was talking down there. Who's the next girl he goes to see?
I think this is morning blowjob Fluttershy.
This one. This is the great one.
You want to be morning blowjob Fluttershy?
No, this is the best part.
This is the best part.
No, you need to be Fluttershy.
Okay.
You need to be Fluttershy.
Okay, I'll do it.
Chapter 4.
How are you guys all doing? Woo! Are you guys turned on yet?
I'm laughing. Solid.
I see solid.
His name is
Serenade me, pencil.
Celestia didn't like Shadow Bolt.
You didn't like Shadow Blade either.
She thought he was too powerful and needed to be eradicated. How could she do it, though? She would have to seduce him.
Yes, she said, I will seduce him. 'Tis the perfect plan. With this, she talked with her sister and cadence to set her plan into action.
Cool.
Shadow woke up next to Flutters and looked at her. She looked nice. He decided that a morning blowjob would be just the thing to wake her up.
Wake me up inside.
He opened her mouth and put his massive cock in it. Fluttershy instinctively started sucking the cock like it was an ice cream thing.
Oh, yeah.
Moaning and thrusting his massive dick in and out of Fluttershy's mouth. Just then, Flutters woke up. "What are you doing?" she asked with the cock in her mouth so it sounded like a slut.
Talking your mouth.
Said Shadow, continuing to thrust into the Flutter Slut's mouth. "See what I did there? Winky face!"
Hold on. Oh, I've read that. I have a cock in my mouth. Hold on.
Said Fluttershy and continued sucking on Shadow's dick. She really liked it. So much that her flowers started to get all wet.
Oh, how about I finish inside you?
Shadow flipped Fluttershy over and put his penis into her mound and started thrusting hard. She moaned loudly and he moaned too. It was so sexy. Oh God, I'm coming. Holding up.
Missing 2/3 of this is...
Shadow screamed as he filled her honey pot with his honey. Not actually honey pot. That would be gross.
I'm glad to see we have some standards.
Fluttershy moaned.
Oh, you can actually do it?
Yeah.
We done now? Should I stop? Oh, I see.
that's what we're talking
Oh, I
You always go the extra mile.
Thanks. I love you, Shadow Blade.
Fluttershy.
Later, Shadow knew it was time to go. So her left Fluttershy's cottage with a tip of his horn. "See, I did it again, old lady!"
Are you ready for the dash?
And set off for his next destination. Soon, he came across the weather factory in Ponyville.
That's a lot of go.
He entered and there was Rainbow Dash.
Oh, God.
Hey, Rainbow.
Oh,
He
God.
said
Rainbow.
they were friends, so she knew him and he knew her.
Hey, Shadow Bolt.
She said she came up to him and kissed him because they were friends. They can do that, you know.
So, how you been, Shadow?
I've been good. Missed you a lot.
They kissed again and kept kissing, and soon they were on the ground and Rainbow was on top of Shadow.
You ready for a ride?
She asked with a writing crop in hand.
Ready hand.
Are we until 9 or 9:15 or 9:30? Or
9.
5 minutes.
9.
Okay.
Okay.
Not gonna do my quick finish.
So we got 4 minutes left. Let's quiz you guys on what we just read. We have a few more prizes.
And something special afterwards.
Yes. So, how was Fluttershy's pussy described?
Flower.
Yes.
Sopping wet, tasting like a ripe peach.
No, it starts with a V.
Vegan.
Vegan. And this is a special one because we fund a charity with all of the donations we get, and we sponsor a horse, and this is the keychain of the horse we sponsor. and its name is Little Bit. It needs an introverse. So we're going to take this cute thing and give it to. So, what did Fluttershy taste like? Yes.
All right.
Correct. Oh God. Toilet. And for a pretty signed mouse pad by all of us. I know, very, very, very cute.
I have a track.
Who is the first
Spoiling it
pony?
soon, huh?
Who is the first pony that Shadowblade fucks?
Twilight.
Okay. Wait, listen, hold on. You were bad, so I'm gonna give this to you.
You're spoiling it a bit early.
And hold on. And so what we do? You turn. Go. Talk. Words.
So, Rav, you also have something very special to show.
All right. So how many of you like Fiora and Queen Quake? If you want the story behind this image, you can talk to her directly, check out her stream, or check out ours where we interviewed her. Ask her about Jedi brownies involving these two and this image.
Oh, this.
What do you call this? You've never seen this.
I know what you're talking about.
There you go.
It says, "Why won't you drink me, senpai? Am I not creepy enough for your spunk palate?"
Which is a great.
And so thank you all for coming. We've been.
Oh, I came all right.
We've been.
I've been somebody.
Who are you?
A person, Milk.
And we've been.
Ravage.
Check it out. Our artist for a reason. Fuck yeah.
Enigma?
Say words!
Enigma.
Flammenwerfer.
Our beautiful guest.
Azzy.
Woo! I've been a non-pencil. I'm really annoying. Enjoy.
My name's Flutter Priest. If you guys want to see us narrate stuff like this on YouTube, you can go to thebarcast.net, where we have podcasts interviewing people all over the fandom on iTunes, Google Play, as well as reading bad fan fiction and all kinds of crazy stuff. Come join us and we'll have a great time together.
Come say hi to us after. We're really not that scary, I promise.
Tomorrow we have another panel where we're actually interviewing another member of staff.
And we are making it 18 plus, so given what you just learned about us, you can guess what kind of questions we're going to ask them.
Thank you so much. You guys were amazing.
Who wants for our Crackfic now?
All right.
I want to take crack, then write a fanfic.
All of that came from alcohol. So I expect them on feature tomorrow at the top of Finfic.
It's a high bar to set. I'm not going to make it there with crack. Sure.
I did.
Was it worth it? Yes, it was worth it. It's tragic.
I wish you guys would channel wasn't that like right in the
I know, right?
Or was it at the same time? No, it started like.
How long have y'all been doing this?
Oh God, 3 years almost.
It's been
4 years, maybe?
yeah. It's been close to 4.
Yeah, that's right, because we did the 1 year where we didn't do cons. So yeah, 4 years, give or take. Hey, we're gonna hand the Sam Warren what's that? Oh, where was it?
Thank you for the laughs.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for coming.
Rainbow Dash is like so inside sunset.
Is this something? Hey, Skull. You know what you need to say?
Like I was thinking a second, I went around. No wait.
What I'm doing exactly.
You're already all gone.
That's not super fair.
Yeah. They'll probably come back.
Okay, just go sit on the back table there.
Yeah.
And hopefully somebody will come back and Jesus Christ. That is the wild one every time. That's what we do.
Please tell me you recorded. Click a blind. I'm not.
any parties tonight?
Probably not. I'm gonna keep it light. Dude, I was really like focused on. I've had nothing but fun. I'm gonna keep it light. I might show up at 1 or 2, but I'll be mellow. So
this bug, just crickets in my ass. He's really hot.
You can always ask later or something very different.
I don't want to let that.
Sorry, we talked too much. I tried to make sure.
I want to be
His autograph then.
Yeah, at least you got to do sexy play.
I was thinking get a picture. Sure.
Don't forget your pads.
I want. He wants a picture. He wants a picture of the thorax. I need someone to help me. I need someone to hold up.
Maybe it's his burial.
Maybe tell him about the box service.
Hey, yo, Docu dude.
Thorax dummy because
Somebody dropped the phone. It's in the back there.
I will get it.
Well, we need to start packing down and stuff.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I think we're gonna make some weird six about that. I know we also.
Damn it.
Did you take the picture?
Yes, I did.
I can't hold my tongue out much longer, so.
Yeah. Good. Actually, technically.
No, just I've been screaming this whole time, so I'm like.
Can I take a picture of it? Just like me.
Actually, I do. You don't take pictures of me in Colorado.
Yes.
I also have a picture of me as
It's a James.
We have a lot of situations in ours.
Do a little bit of everything.
My kid was
I do that.
I also know this is the Georgia Hot Pocket. Georgia Hot Pocket.
Yeah, we're
taking
going
a shake, a fold out couch, and fold it back. Couch
I don't know. I think it's Cincinnati. Part of the missionary sex act about Cincinnati.
Is there like a bar class party or anything later? I don't think so. We are going to be hitting the party floors though. Okay. We will be at the Canada room, I'm sure. And I know we're going to stop by the Klingons again. So, those are the ones I know we're going to be at. Alright, cool. See you around, man.
Nice job, Bill. You're,
Yeah.
I owe you an apology. You didn't get to read as much as I wanted.
One thicky boy.
It happens.
Bill
feet crashed our phone.
Next time, Marty.
You gotta show the face, you gotta show the thick.
Well, I
That's what I found is
asked,
hold him.
I asked Fee if she was going to show up, and she said she would ride, but
And then a hand here. One
my
But she's the one. We'll also use that to let you know about the enforcement.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm going right.
I know.
Maybe I should have gone and met that person.
There you go.
Just to.
If nothing else.